Mine is a life most ordinary, lived a billion times before. Mine is a life I am living for the first time. As eloquent and meaningful as these words are, that they fall invariably short of telling us about the life of a multifaceted and diverse person who spoke these words, who very fortunately also happens to be our guest for today. Hello and welcome everyone to an episode of Alfaaz UNCUT by Alfaaz. Today, we have with us a very special and remarkable person, someone who's an actor, a director, a writer, a communications consultant, and also someone who's touched multiple lives through his social ventures. Today, we have with us Mr. Avijit Dutt. Thank you so much for doing this, sir. It's an honor to have you
Thank you for
here.
having me. When you quoted that line, I was saying that sounds very good. I hardly knew that I had used it some point in time.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have a series of questions for you, and we
Yeah,
also have a very eager audience to know about your exciting life. So let's begin. Right. So,
sure.
so first of all, I'd like to congratulate you on the Emmy win for Delhi Crime, which was a great series.
Thank
So,
you so
sir,
much.
what was your experience like? Working on a show that was so powerful, but also had such a
You know,
sensitive story to tell.
when you're first interacting with an idea, someone says, "It's sir, will you do this?" The first thing you want to know is who's the director, what's the story, then what's your budget, when are you shooting, how many days. So, question number one was the director, someone called Richie Mehta. Now, you hear that name and you say, Richie Mehta? I've never heard of that. Next, the story. Nirbhaya. Oh, God, I don't want to live that again. So, everything was against it. Budget, sir, we are very tight on budget. We cannot pay your fee. So, I said, why are you wasting your time and mine? No, sir, the director is very keen that you do it. So I said, look, I actually, I'd rather not. Next day, a very eager young gentleman called me and he said, I'm doing it for my passion. He said, I have a script which is 423 pages and I just mailed it to you. I want you to read it and then tell me what you think. I read the script and I was astounded.
I'm sure.
He called me back after a week and he said, sir, I guess you haven't managed to read it. I said, as a matter of fact, I have. And congratulations, I think it's super script. He said, sir, now I want you to do it. So I said, look, we did a bit of talking about the amount. And he said, look, I'm completely tied down because I'm doing it with money from England and I'm from Canada and I want to make it and then take it across to festivals. Working on it was just wonderful. There was Adil. Adil is an old actor of mine. We've known each other for a long time. I respect his work a lot. And Shifali, who I've never acted with before. The scenes were completely organic. And Richie kept thinking that it was very good. I don't know how. He was happy with my first take. And I said, Richie, can I do a second? And may I do a third? I think after about 3 takes, I was all right, satisfied for then. Of course, later every actor says, I wish I'd done it another way.
Yeah, sure.
That was it. And it was just one day's work. And Richie was, he was so full of encouragement and so he inspired us. And it was like there was no camera there. That was my experience with it. Then he called me in for a dubbing. He said, I wish I could have extended your character. So I'm just dubbing over here so that I can add your voice here. And I'm taking it to New York for the Sundance Festival. And Netflix picked it up. Subsequently, we've also done the next season. But that, of course,
Sure.
is for the producers to talk about.
All right, sir. That sounds
It was
wonderful.
inspiring. It was absolutely inspirational.
I'm sure. And it was very moving as a viewer. I mean, I can
Yeah,
say it was quite
yeah,
moving.
absolutely. I mean, most people didn't want to revisit that sordid chapter of our history.
I'm sure.
And the way he did it, it was so genuine, so real. A dear friend of mine, a film critic, said, I won't take names, he could do it only because he's coming from abroad. Maybe an Indian would not have been able to. Maybe it's correct, but there was an astounding sense of sensitivity. I may add, Vijay Karan was an Inspector General of Police. And I was making a film for him for the bombs on board the buses.
Right.
So while chatting with him, we of course came up with that same old stupid argument that the Bobby versus our police. I didn't use the rough, impolite word.
Right.
He just made me aware of the two different salaries, the two different sets of working ethos and time. He says, our policemen are on duty for 12 hours and he's just ready to go home. When along comes this guy and he says, sun, wo agla banda aa nahi raha. Tu tere aur 8 ghante ki kar le. And that's it, and he leaves. So the man is there for 20 hours. It takes some amount of guts.
I'm sure.
And Rishi, I think, had that broadness of vision and sensitivity to understand that.
Right. And that was shown about in, I think, Rasika ma'am's role, when she's continuously moving through.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
All right. So, sir, you have done your education in Calcutta. You reside in Delhi.
No. I'm an Indian. So I studied, schooled in Bangalore, Calcutta, Hyderabad, Bombay, and went back to Hyderabad after my mother passed away in class 10. We went Bombay then. I went back to Hyderabad to complete, and that was the first year of class 12. So I had 2 years with guys whom I've been studying with. So that was remarkable. And now it seems almost like we were fated to, because those same friends continue to remain friends today.
That's beautiful.
And then I went back to college in Calcutta, undergraduate, postgraduate, and went to teach in St. Paul's, Darjeeling, and so on.
Right. So again, my question was that you've been on both sides of the table, right? You were a student who's had his fair share of fun, and you're also currently a professor at IIMC. So what is that one thought process you think that was prevalent when you were a student, and also now that you're a teacher?
My best professors were those who locked in with my eyes and gave me something that I could treasure. I felt, if I can do that, be a buddy, but at an arm's length, be able to share my genuine feelings so that somewhere there is a sense of harmony, then I've done my job. And I'm very happy that every year I also teach at NDIM, New Delhi Institute of Management. So every year there are about 150 postgraduates that go through the classes that I take. Oftentimes, because the student considers that sir and I had an equation. Now the student comes up to you and says, sir, I'm 2001 batch. I'm terribly sorry, but I can't remember your name. It just happened 3 days ago at the airport with this girl who was very bright. I remembered later in IIMC. She's now an account director at O&M. But when she approached me and said, sir, you were one of our favorite professors, and I've just messaged all of our gang of that year that I've seen you at the airport. So it was remarkable. That continues. So
So do
it's
you,
like, if you have managed to reach the heart of one person per batch, I consider it to be a success.
that's nice. Do you observe a bit, some of that fanfare in your classrooms whenever you are teaching? As in, does somebody come up, wow, okay, sir, can I have a selfie with you?
Yeah. I mean, it's only the beginning. When
Right.
they are very struck by this guy who they've seen on the screen. But by the time you're in the second class, that's all gone. It's out of the window. Now they're logging on to what we are talking about.
Right. Fair. Right. So, sir, you've done your fair share of work in Bollywood, and also you've done a lot of theatre. What is that one difference you observe in both these work spheres?
I'll give you two differences, really.
Sure, sure.
One is for film, which is someone sitting in Canada, in a vague place near Montreal, suddenly gets in touch with you through the social media to say, hey, I saw you in this film. Wow, it was great. That is the power of cinema. But theater, which they say has been dying for 2000 years, has a completely different magic of the here and now. That here and nowness is not there in cinema.
Right. Right. So, which one would you say is closer to your heart? Bollywood, or I mean, cinema or theater?
Both have their salient points. I like theater a lot, and I enjoy doing cinema also.
Right.
But I'm a little shy of television because I don't enjoy that much. But web series are a whole different ball game. It treats the actor just like a cinema, and you have a little more time to work with your character.
Right. Right. That's great. Your short movie Akkad Bakkad, I think everyone knows it was presented at Cannes, and it was also shown at the Parliament, right? For the to pass a bill that was working against the
No, no,
practice of
no,
child abuse.
no. The film was shown at the Parliament, and I was very proud of that. It was shown to parliamentarians on the 15th of August.
Oh wow!
It was an event which was sponsored by the Minister of Law and Justice. I will not take names, but the minister called us down into the well of the house, and he said, while looking at the actress, he asked me, who was standing on the other side of his shoulder, "To batao kya chahiye?" So I said, nothing risked, nothing gained, so might as well ask. I wasn't going to ask for $1,000,000, although I would have loved it. So I asked, Mr. Minister, will you table the child bill? Just to
Oh,
get rid of me, I think. He said, yes, yes. And I banged the desk in a profound show of arrogance and said, the minister has just committed to table the child bill in the next session. Lo and behold, in the winter session, he did table it. Now, whether it's coincidence or whether it's a commitment kept, I don't know. But it was tabled and passed, and POSCO became a part of reality, Indian reality.
and I mean, it happened for the best. So
Right place, right time. That's all.
right. So I mean, you worked in movies with the social message, right? I mean, Akkad Bakkad was one, People Alive
Yeah.
was one, No One Killed Jessica was one. So, do you think that movies actually have a role in contributing, towards the shaping of the minds of the viewers?
Wouldn't we believe it to be true? We would. Unfortunately, I don't think it is. But just like I was talking about reaching out to that one student, similarly, if a play, if a film can make a change of heart in one person, it's a great task. And that is what I live for. that little hope.
Right. That's great. So, I mean, I have a few questions for you, and I want you to answer the first thing that comes to your mind when I
Sure.
ask you these. Right. So let's begin. The one actor you've loved working with, or you would love to work with again?
Hmm. Ouch. Man of Call.
All right. That's great. Okay. OTT platforms or movie theaters?
I think movies.
All right. Someone from the industry, I mean, any workspace you look up to.
Many. Um, some of the directors, some of the actors, Amir, Nasir, Nawazuddin,
Wow.
I
Okay.
really look up to.
That's nice. Your happy place.
Sitting and reading with a drink at my elbow or playing the sitar in the quiet of the night.
Lovely. All right. Avijit Dutt, the writer, Avijit Dutt, the actor. Choose one.
The actor.
All right.
We were going to this festival of plays in Europe, and I was directing a play which was going to be performed in Slovenia, Italy, and Austria. One of my actresses, about half my age, gave in her passport, and we were all going as diplomats. So we got our diplomats visas, and her passport mentioned profession actor. And I said to her, "Wow, you call yourself an actor?" She said, "Yes." So I said, "Wow, I must do that." I used to write, I think, something like management or some such rubbish.
Okay.
So,
That's great. I mean, that's actually, I mean, one thing that every child, क्या बनना है बड़े होके? Actor बनना है. I think. Right. All
no,
right.
there's always a fear. I think most people would have that, or people who are trying to be genuine to their craft.
Right.
Am I a fake or am I for true? That is a question that you can live with, and you can question yourself about it many a time.
Right, sir. Okay. One of your favorite books. I mean, one book that touched your heart.
Ooh, Franny and Zooey.
All right. So, sir, I mean, you were just talking about, a fear that actors have. Right. So, I mean, there are a lot of people my age. I mean, I know students with me who want to be a rapper, someone who wants to be a designer, right? But sometimes, due to circumstances or maybe reasons like parental pressure, they can't break into that field, right? And they also have the fear of failing. कि ये नहीं हुआ, what if we don't become successful? So, someone who's gone down that path, what would your advice be to them?
I'll go to my daughter. In my times, I always took protection of the fact that it was not possible to survive as an actor if you wanted to do your kind of work.
Right.
So I've always been on two boats, working in advertising or being a president of marketing or running my own CSR show while acting. 6 o'clock was holy hour when I would give off and get into rehearsals. But my daughter said, "Baba, I'm not going to be on two boats. I'll decide to go with just acting." So both my daughters, the elder girl is a director,
Right.
the younger one is an actor. They've both gone to Bombay and they pursue their dreams and nothing else. And that's it. They don't do a day job. I still do a day job.
That's great. So, talking about your daughter, your daughter Niharika recently performed in Patal Lok, one of my
Yes.
favorite series of all time. So, and your elder daughter, as you said, is a director. So, do you guys have a maybe a rule sort of a thing where you don't discuss work on dinner table? Do you do that?
No, no, we do. There is no Bengali home that goes past arguing vociferously for their points of view. And I hold mine, they hold theirs. And I don't want them to give in and say, all right, you're saying it, so it must be gospel truth. And they wouldn't. I prefer that. Let us hold our individuality and have our perspective, which is valid, important.
Of course. Right. So, I think, sir, we're out of time, and I just have one more question for you, where you
Yeah,
can maybe inspire our
I'll
listeners.
give a quick response.
Oh, that's all right, sir. So, I mean, there are times, as a writer, we fall into dilemma whether our work is up to the mark or not. Right. So, do you ever find yourself in such a situation? And if you do, how do you overcome such a dilemma?
You always do. You will always wonder, am I good enough? Am I just a fake? As I was saying earlier,
Right.
it's a question that will remain with you. If Arthur Miller could have it when he'd had so many plays published, then who am I? I'm nothing.
Right.
Of course, that dilemma will be there, and that is what drives you to even better work. So, best of luck is what I would say.
That's
Can I
really
give you
sweet.
a tiny little anecdote?
Sure, sir. Sure. I mean, we'd be delighted.
So, Mr. De Niro, Robert De Niro, was invited to the Tisch School of Acting for their graduate students for him to give a talk when they're passing out. So he had a cold. So he was wiping his nose and he said, you know, this is his language, not mine. Um, if you're an accountant, you'll get accounts. If you're a taxi driver, you'll get taxis. If you're a lawyer, who cares? I mean, you're a lawyer after all. If you're an actor, you are FUCKED because you will keep going for auditions and that is your work. You might believe you're doing really well, but even while I'm doing the audition, I see the eyes of the casting director and they're saying, no, not this guy, someone else. So you carry on trying. There was an interview he was doing of Dustin Hoffman. And he said to Dustin Hoffman, do you remember when you first met me? And Dustin Hoffman said, yeah, when we acted together. And he said, no, rubbish. You came to celebrate the success of Graduate in a restaurant. And a waiter upset his champagne on your tie. He said, yeah, I remember that. He said, I was the waiter
Wow.
because I was jealous of your success. So there you go. Everybody has their moments of doubt, but you come out stronger from that. Thank you so much for having me. All the
Thank
very
you.
best.
Thank you so much for being here, sir. I mean, it was I mean, my hands are still shaking talking to you. It was an honor talking to you.
Must
And
be cold.
also, all right, for everyone who's listening, thank you so much for being here. Please follow sir on LinkedIn and Instagram and follow his work, sir. We are looking forward to your work. I
Thank
am
you so
really
much.
waiting. Thank you for being here, sir.
All the very best. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me. All
Thank
the
you.
best. Bye.
Bye, sir.